Adolf Hitler, a name that evokes both fascination and horror, remains one of the most studied, debated, and reviled individuals in human history. His actions and decisions have left an indelible mark on our world, and his story is as gripping as it is chilling. We all know the broad strokes of Hitler's life, his rise to power, his role in World War II, and the horrors of the Holocaust. But there's so much more to the man behind the dictator. In this video, we're peeling back the layers to reveal some of the lesser-known facts, secrets, and peculiarities that surrounded Hitler throughout his life. Let's shine a light on the secrets that history has kept buried for far too long. But remember, delving into the life of such a dark figure necessitates a delicate touch, and we approach this subject with the utmost respect for the countless lives. Adolf Hitler had aspirations of becoming an artist in his youth, and he applied to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts twice, but was rejected both times. His artistic career, however, did influence his worldview and leadership style in several ways. Hitler had a strong interest in architecture, and this is evident in his grandiose architectural plans for Germany, particularly his vision of redesigning Berlin as Germania, a monumental capital city. His fascination with architecture influenced his desire for large-scale construction projects that would symbolize Nazi power and ideology. Hitler recognized the power of art and visual propaganda. He believed that art could be a powerful tool for conveying political messages and shaping public opinion. Under Nazi rule, art was used extensively for propaganda purposes, promoting Aryan ideals and demonizing those considered enemies of the regime, particularly Jews. Hitler had specific aesthetic preferences that influenced his views on art. He favored classical and traditional styles, particularly academic art and realist painting. He had a disdain for modern and abstract art, which he considered degenerate and incompatible with Nazi ideology. Under Hitler's regime, the Nazis controlled and censored the arts. They promoted art and literature that conformed to their ideology and suppressed or banned works they deemed incompatible. This control extended to films, literature, and music as well. Hitler's early experiences and beliefs as an aspiring artist played a role in his later efforts to shape and control cultural expression in Nazi Germany. His emphasis on traditional, nationalist art and his disdain for modernism contributed to the artistic climate of the Third Reich, which had a significant impact on the cultural and artistic landscape of the time. There's evidence to suggest that Adolf Hitler used methamphetamine, among other drugs, during his time in power. Hitler's personal physician, Dr. Theodor Morell, prescribed various medications for him, and some of these medications contain methamphetamines. Methamphetamine, commonly referred to as meth, is a powerful stimulant drug that can increase alertness, energy, and concentration. Dr. Morell administered a range of drugs to Hitler for various health issues, real or perceived, and to address his physical and psychological symptoms. These drugs included amphetamines, barbiturates, opiates, and others. Methamphetamine, in particular, was used by Morell to combat Hitler's fatigue, improve his mood, and increase his ability to stay awake and alert during long working hours. The use of these drugs likely contributed to Hitler's erratic behavior, mood swings, and declining health in the later years of his life. It's important to note that the medical practices of the time were not as well regulated as they are today, and some of the drugs prescribed to Hitler were potentially harmful. Adolf Hitler was known to suffer from Aerophobia, the fear of cats. It's said that he was particularly uneasy around them and would often go out of his way to avoid them. This fear of cats is mentioned in various accounts from people who were close to him, including his personal secretary, Traudl Jung, who wrote about it in her memoir. The exact reason for Hitler's fear of cats is not definitively known. One theory suggests that it may have been related to a childhood incident involving a cat, while others believe it could be linked to superstitions or personal aversions. Regardless of the exact cause, it's clear from the historical accounts that Hitler did have a genuine fear of cats. Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder that affects motor functions and can lead to symptoms such as tremors, rigidity, slowness of movement, and postural instability. There's historical evidence and medical analysis that suggest Hitler may have exhibited symptoms consistent with Parkinson's disease during the later years of his life. Hitler is reported to have had noticeable hand tremors, which were observed by those around him. This trembling of his hands is visible in some photographs and film footage from the later years of his life. In addition to hand tremors, Hitler's posture is often described as becoming progressively stooped and rigid, which can be a characteristic of Parkinson's disease. Some reports suggest that Hitler had difficulty with walking and balance in his later years, which is another common symptom of Parkinson's. It's important to note that a definitive diagnosis of Parkinson's disease for Hitler cannot be made because he was never formally examined by modern medical standards, and historical records provide only anecdotal evidence. However, many medical experts and historians have retrospectively analyzed available information and have suggested that he may have had the disease based on his observed symptoms. Art theft during World War II, particularly by the Nazis, is a well-documented and complex historical issue. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime were involved in the looting and plundering of art on a massive scale, both from individuals and from the institutions of the countries they occupied. The Nazis confiscated a vast amount of artwork from Jewish collectors, art dealers, and institutions. They also targeted art that they considered degenerate or ideologically incompatible with Nazi beliefs. The Ahnenerbe was a Nazi research organization that played a role in plundering cultural artifacts, often under the guise of scientific research. Alfred Rosenberg, a key Nazi official, also headed a task force focused on the looting of art and cultural property. The Nazis plundered art from countries they occupied, including France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Poland, and others. These countries suffered significant losses of their cultural heritage. In response to the widespread looting, the Allies established the Monuments, Fine Arts, and Archives program, commonly known as the Monuments Men, during World War II. These individuals, including art historians and museum professionals, were tasked with locating and returning stolen artworks to their rightful owners. One of Hitler's top officials, Hermann Göring, was known for his personal art collection, much of which was acquired through dubious means. One of the most infamous cases of art theft during this period was the looting of the Ghent altarpiece, also known as the Adoration of the Mystic Lamb, which was stolen by the Nazis and later recovered. Another well-known case is the recovery of the famous portrait of Wally by Egon Schiele. Efforts to locate and return stolen art from this era are ongoing, and the moral and legal complexities surrounding the ownership of looted art remain subjects of debate and international law. Adolf Hitler is known to have suffered from various physical and psychological ailments during his lifetime, some of which include the following. Hitler is often described as having megalomania, a psychological condition characterized by an obsession with power, grandiosity, and an exaggerated sense of one's importance. His extreme ambition for territorial conquest and the creation of a greater German empire is seen as evidence of this condition. Needless to say, Hitler also exhibited traits of narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissism is characterized by a need for admiration, a lack of empathy, and an inflated sense of self-importance. Hitler was known for being a hypochondriac, meaning he had an excessive preoccupation with his health and often complained of various physical ailments. He had a personal physician, Dr. Theodor Morell, who administered numerous medications and treatments to him. Hitler reportedly suffered from severe digestive issues, including chronic flatulence, bloating, and abdominal pain. Dr. Morell prescribed a range of drugs and dietary changes to address these problems. It's important to note that much of the information about Hitler's health and psychological state comes from secondary sources and historical records. Many of the primary medical records were destroyed or remain inaccessible. Additionally, diagnosing historical figures with mental health conditions based on limited information can be challenging and controversial. There you have it, some of the secrets and lesser-known facts about Adolf Hitler's life. But remember, these aspects add complexity to our understanding of history's most notorious figures, but they should not overshadow the immense impact of his actions and ideologies. The nature of his leadership was marked by authoritarianism, brutality, and the perpetration of war crimes and genocide during World War II, which resulted in the suffering and death of millions of people. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. Stay curious and join us next time as we unravel more captivating stories from the past. Thanks for watching.